Hi everyone, welcome to Single Value. So today we're going to look at Bitcoin because it has gone to an all-time high of $21,800. The last all-time high was in 2017 when it got to over $19,000. And yeah, since then, a lot of people have been waiting and hoping that the pricing goes higher, and it has done that. So there's a bit of excitement, and I do want to fill that quota of anyone looking at potentially investing in Bitcoin, but I don't want to do it directly. Today I've got 3 investments that you can look at as getting exposure to Bitcoin. Because I do believe it will continue to increase in pricing, especially since the limit of this coin is 21 million, and there's not likely to be any more in the next few years at least, unless they increase that capacity from that 21 million mark. So with Bitcoin, it is interesting. There's many uses of Bitcoin, but I technically see it as a digital gold. It will preserve your wealth. Particularly in a time when a lot of governments and banks around the world are trying to just save their economies and are printing a lot of money, which is causing a lot of inflation and devaluing cash itself. I think it's worthy that you can consider Bitcoin as a certain way to preserve the wealth of your assets. Alright, so let's look at the 3 investment plays that that allow you to get some exposure to Bitcoin. Alright, so number 1 is Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. This company does nothing else except hold Bitcoin, and if you want exposure to Bitcoin without directly holding Bitcoin, this one will be it. Basically, if you don't want to go through the hassle of having to go into exchange, buying your Bitcoin, storing it on your key that you may potentially lose if you're worried about those things, then this one creates some simplicity and you get some exposure to Bitcoin if you believe that Bitcoin has a good long-term future and its price will continue rising. But of course, we all know Bitcoin has a lot of volatility, so if you buy into it, do expect some volatility going forward as well, particularly when the price rises. But long term, Bitcoin generally rises in the long term because it's kind of like a gold. As long as the cost of mining Bitcoin keeps going up and also the supply of Bitcoin keeps going down in terms of how much you can mine, which we all know there's a 21 million limit anyway, so it is pretty limited. So the long-term prospects are fairly good. Of course, you're kind of balancing that with your opportunity cost of whether you should buy into a company that has productive assets, or if you just want to buy into a safe haven that basically stores an asset that as long as people perceive higher value, it continues to go up. Alright, so that's the end of this one. Alright, so now we're looking at number 2. This is MicroStrategy Incorporated. This is a company that is a consulting company that decided to hold a lot of Bitcoin, and it basically turned the whole company into a Bitcoin play. The current valuation of this company is $2.7 billion. But as you can kind of see by this article here, MicroStrategy raised $650 million to buy more Bitcoin, bringing its exposure to $1.1 billion. Though that's kind of risen to probably 1.3 or something, given the recent rise in Bitcoin, and given this article it was done in 13th of December, and the last few days Bitcoin has been rising. Technically half the value of this company at the 2.7 billion valuation is based on Bitcoin, and the other half is the consulting service and the potential of the company going forward. And the CEO, Michael Saylor, just believes that Bitcoin is the better way to go in terms of preserving the wealth of the company. And so far, he is right. It is preserving the wealth and also growing it in a really, really nice way. So if you want to have a diversified approach where you're investing into a company and investing in Bitcoin, then MicroStrategy potentially is a company that you might be interested in. The current share price is $299, it will likely continue to rise if Bitcoin continues to rise in value. it's kind of funny that the value of Bitcoin, if it continues to rise at a substantial rate, then that the Bitcoin they hold will basically be more valuable than the actual consulting business itself. So far, it is basically looking that way, hence why it's become a Bitcoin play. Alright, so for number 3, we're looking at Marathon Patent Group. I like this one quite a lot more than Riot Blockchain, if you're going to ask me about Riot Blockchain. So I'll just get that out of the way first. So Marathon Patent Group is a Bitcoin miner. Unlike the other two, this one gives you exposure in a different way in terms of a miner. So it's kind of like, if you're interested in gold, then you can potentially own gold or look at a gold miner. Here we're looking at Bitcoin, and since it's like a digital gold, we're looking at the company that mines it. And this is a company that's trading at 433 million valuation. It has increased substantially since September, from less than $2 to now $8. I do see as Bitcoin pricing continues to rise, and as they continue to increase their mining capacity, that this company has got so much potential ahead of it that potentially I see it over $1 billion in valuation in terms of next year when it gets its full capacity. So as it puts here, they hope to have about 23,560 miners deployed in Q2 2021. This will mine about 15 to 20 Bitcoin per day, which is quite substantial. And especially given the price rise, they stand to gain in a massive way. And the current pricing, costs that they expect for the mining will be about $3,863 per Bitcoin, which could allow them to generate about $8.8 million in revenue per month, and that leads them to about 100 million in revenue, potential revenue for next year. And hence why, if this is a company that's rated at about 433 million and it's generating 100 million in revenue mining Bitcoin, potentially there's a huge upside for this current valuation. Even though it's risen so much, the potential for this company to just continue increasing its capacity even beyond next year. They're aiming to get to a certain rate on Q2, but it doesn't mean they won't continue to increase their capacity beyond that 23,560 miners. So this is one that I'm also very interested in because of its potential and its ability to continue to mine more, rather than just a company that just holds the value of Bitcoin, which you can kind of look at as reduced risk, because if you just hold Bitcoin, there's not really a way to mess it up. Whereas with a company that's mining Bitcoin, there is some potential ways that you can mess up the mining. So I guess there's a little bit of risk, but you get the added exposure that the company continues to increase capacity and it continues to add value at the same time as Bitcoin continues to increase in price. So it's like a two-prong approach where you get increased price of Bitcoin and you get added revenues going forward with this company, rather than just investing in Bitcoin directly. Then you've got an extra different play. Or you can look at diversifying your approach when it comes to Bitcoin, because you don't want to just put all your eggs in one basket. Then this is a potential way you can also do that, where you're not just holding the coin, you're also looking at the miner as well. So that concludes the 3 stocks that I think will probably give you some really good exposure when it comes to Bitcoin, if you perceive it to be doing well in the short or long run. Then these are choices that you can look at. If you've got any comments or questions, let me know. I'm always interested to hear those. Until then, good luck investing, everyone.